Welcome everyone to the presentation. As a recent graduate of Curtin University, it is great to be here to share a transformative learning experience I had when I was at uni. Today we have a range of stakeholders presenting their perspectives on interdisciplinary project-based learning, including industry partners, 2 recent graduates, and academic staff to highlight the benefits of this type of learning. Also, if you can please go to the Menti link in the description and enter 3 important skills for STEM graduates, that would be awesome. We'll get back to you. We'll get back to this and have some fun in the discussion. Thanks. I'll now hand you over to Sue to explain about our industry partner, Lab Tests Online Australasia.
Thanks, Zach. My name's Susan Benson. I'm an infectious diseases physician and clinical microbiologist and chair of Lab Tests Online Australia. The remit of Lab Tests Online is to provide Australian-specific information for health consumers about laboratory tests and to help them better understand their health. This is particularly timely as Australians now have access to their own laboratory test results via My Health Record, and this is to help them engage with their doctors and be actively involved in their care. The image you can see here is the screenshot of an example of the web page. This is the web page on Lab Tests Online Australia that explains COVID-19 tests. Just to understand a little bit for the partnership, Lab Tests Online is a not-for-profit with 6 sort of part-time pathologists and scientists. There's no backroom of web designers. And so very much being involved in this project helped us upskill what we're doing with Lab Tests Online. So the insights that you get from Nina and the other that you'll hear from about what Nina and Zach did in their projects were very valuable. We'll come back and talk a little bit how the process worked a little bit later.
Hi everyone, my name is Nina and I graduated from a Bachelor of Science in Data Science at Curtin University, and I am currently working as an Associate Data Scientist at Atlassian. I was one of the very lucky students who was involved in the interdisciplinary project held by Lab Tests Online and Curtin University back in 2019. We'll have Zach, another graduate who participated in this project alongside me, talk about his experience in a moment. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit more about what my project entailed. So I guess first off, given there is a very big range in health literacy scores across Australia, one of the things we decided to look into was how accessible the LTO website for pathology test information is. So as Sue talked about, it was really important for us to make sure that this website was accessible to the general public. So what I did was look at the readability score of LTO and compare it to some other health websites. And this involved things like web scraping text from a variety of different health websites and applying readability scores on a sample of text, and then comparing how LTO did between websites such as Health Direct or PubMed. So as you can see on the plot to the right, LTO scored about in the middle between Health Direct and PubMed. So this sort of gave us an indication that although LTO was reasonably easy to comprehend, we still needed to make it more accessible, just like Health Direct was to the public. So now I just want to touch on some ways this project has benefited me. So I guess first off, I really want to emphasize that this interdisciplinary project wasn't like any other industry placement, as it enabled students like me to collaborate across disciplines with students and leaders from various fields. I guess one example of such a learning was working across disciplines on how to communicate to various stakeholders from different backgrounds. All of us students were often pushed to listen and think about how to communicate and tailor information to different audience groups. And the leaders were also very good at encouraging us students to take a lead on a lot of the conversations and voice our opinions as students. And so I really think that this experience helped me prepare a lot for my graduate job out of uni, where I work across discipline every day with a triad of devs, designers, marketing, and product managers. I'll now introduce Zach, who is the other communications media student who I had the lovely opportunity to work with.
Thanks, Nina. So hi again, everybody. I was responsible for creating a social media plan and creating media assets that would be used to promote the project. Thanks, Alok. The social media plan was one of my last assignments for the project and therefore could benefit fully from the work that my fellow students had already completed. As we heard, Nina studied readability scores on the website and did a lot of research on what the scores should be. This research and analysis informed the social media plan as it was important to produce content that could easily be read and understood by the Australian public. Analysis of the most popular and best topics on the website also informed what content we should create. Additionally, and more generally, working with STEM students encouraged a scientific approach to my internet communications work. This included making sure that I followed the data and didn't rely solely on my intuition. Working with STEM students also benefited other aspects of the project. For example, in our meetings, we were able to bounce ideas off others with different points of view and thought processes. This led to us learning about things we could do. For example, I didn't actually know that we could analyze the readability scores on the website before Nina suggested it. On the next slide, please, Alok. I'll explain how the project helped me prepare for the workplace. First, the presentations that we completed as part of the project built my confidence in my work and my communication skills. I also learned how to work in a large team on a large project. We had to consider many parties, including Curtin, ourselves, our supervisors, the organization being LTO, and their partners. This gave us great experience in thinking about all parties and making a deliverable that was suitable for everyone. Overall, the work integrated learning, as well as working with STEM students, increased my learning by a large factor compared to normal unit work. I'll now hand you over to Sonia to talk more about the work integrated learning. Thanks.
Thanks, Zach. So Nina and Zach have just described the personal outcomes from participating in an interdisciplinary project-based WIL experience, which was piloted at Curtin University. This pilot was part of a national project funded by the Australian Technology Network. Other pilots were conducted at 3 other large universities in Australia. Given the collaboration involving multiple stakeholders, which included industry, academic staff and students, there were many benefits for all of those involved. Interdisciplinary relates to the integration of knowledge and approaches from different disciplines, as opposed to multidisciplinary, which is where different disciplines work together but draw on their own discipline knowledge. Interdisciplinary project-based WIL is a systematic educational approach that engages students from 2 or more disciplines in the integration of information, techniques, concepts, and/or theories from their different disciplines as they work collaboratively to solve complex, authentic questions or problems which are generated in collaboration with industry, a pivotal component. The key benefit of this type of learning is the holistic development of the learner, their cognition as in complex mental processes, interpersonal skills such as building self-esteem and resilience, and interpersonal skills where it strengthens their ability to work and collaborate with others. While the national project involved 34 faculty, 19 industry representatives and 265 students across a range of disciplines, the Curtin pilot incorporated 5 students representing the disciplines of marketing, media communications and data science. Subject coordinators for each of the disciplines provided the academic perspective. The project ran over a full semester of 6 months and accounted for the final assessment of students of 1 semester-long project. I'll now hand over to our valuable industry partner, Dr. Sue Benson.
Thanks, Sonia. So you've heard from Nina and Zach talking about the work that they did. That was very valuable. We had no appreciation beforehand that you could scrape the data of the text of lab tests online and analyze it the way Nina did. So that was really interesting. And it also informed us about which pages to prioritize in terms of reviewing. It also meant that it triggered us that our review processes have changed so that before any new new information is put up on the website, we run it through the scoring system. Zach's work was very helpful. It helped us to reboot our social media strategy, and the other two projects that went hand in hand also were important to Lab Tests Online. Just to talk about the logistics a little bit, this Curtin partnership evolved because I'd had prior collaborations with both of the main leads or the supervisors for the project, and that certainly helped understanding what were the sorts of topics that students would be interested in. Just in terms of talking about some of the sort of the lessons learnt from this, we certainly had to be fairly flexible throughout the process. And it was kind of interesting looking at what each different party was interested in getting out of the project. And so we had to sort of keep on track a little bit and aligning what were the deliverables for the industry partner and what the students' academic requirements were and what was the interests of the supervisors was kind of interesting, wriggling through that. It was important. Communication was vital, and we set up a Slack channel to communicate within the team, and that made a big difference. Overall, the partnership was sort of invigorating. It was lovely to get new ideas from fresh and smart people. And I'd certainly do it again, wouldn't hesitate to do it again. One of the nicest things is the relationships that we have between us now, and it's a treat to be back together with Zach and Nina and Sonia and Alok. So that's been a very valuable part of it all. So I'm going to hand it back to Alok this time to get the academic perspective on the partnership.
Thank you very much, Sue. As you've heard from both Nina and Zach, they gain from working in an interdisciplinary team. And one thing we tend to forget is that as academic staff members, we too are also part of a larger team. And that has its advantages. First of all, we're working outside our own narrow areas. So we're sharing ideas about teaching and learning approaches across boundaries. We're also understanding the contributions of other disciplines towards framing a solution to a real world problem. And I think most importantly, we're expanding our networks within our own institutions, which tend to be pretty big. The second point that I want to make is the fact that because work integration is at the core of this particular capstone unit that we're describing, we as academics need to be flexible in considering how we design the assessments for the unit. And to a certain extent, they need to be non-traditional. By non-traditional, I mean that the assessments shouldn't necessarily focus on the novelty of the solutions that the students have come up with, but some of the following aspects. For example, how well were they able to define the question to be answered along with the industry partner? How did they work together as a team? And ultimately, how well did they satisfy the brief that they were given by the industry partner and other such aspects of collaboration? So those are the kinds of things we need to think about in these kinds of non-traditional capstone units. I'm just going to hand over to Sonia to wrap up the presentation.
Thanks, Alok. So to focus on the transformative nature of the learning, the transformation is afforded through the interdisciplinary engagement, gaining varied insights and seeing the world through a different lens. Students solve a dilemma through the integration of different perspectives, assumptions and biases with critical reflection about the process. Recognising what was learned and how it was learned is fundamental to a shift in thinking and a shift in their consciousness that dramatically and permanently alters the way of being in the world. The transformation includes both individual and social transformation, given the inherently social environment of working in interdisciplinary contexts. It's a safe place to make mistakes, which is an essential component of the learning. And finally, just to finish us off, we'd just like to refer you to a couple of resources that you'll find helpful. One is a publication and the other is a good practice guide. And we once again welcome you to open the link and submit some words around skills of STEM graduates. Thank you, everyone.